Welcome back to Magic Muggle, a Harry Potter after show. Today, we're covering chapters 10 through 12 of the Sorcerer's Stone. And if you're following along, you'll know this includes the absolute heart-wrencher, the Mirror of Erised. This has probably been my favorite episode to create. These 3 chapters hold a lot of content and meaning, and they might just be a bigger part of the heart of the book itself. Before we dive in, I just want to say this podcast isn't really just about rushing through these books. We're sticking to a flexible, cozy format here. So never more than 3 chapters will there be in an episode, but sometimes, like today, we'll slow it down to really sit with a moment that deserves it. These chapters carry so much heart, I just couldn't lump them in and skim past them. So this is it's not a warning, but just to set your expectations. There will be, sooner than I thought, 2 chapter episodes. And there will also be, more rarely, but there will be single chapter episodes. And just so you know, to be fully transparent, I've decided to do the last 2 chapters as their own episodes. Because there's a lot in them. And I think that's just the way I'm going to do the show. Kind of play it by ear for each section of the book whenever we get there. Through the whole series. I think the flexibility will make for just way better episodes instead of stretching something for no reason. And if I missed anything, well, you got magicmugglepod@gmail.com. You can send me your thoughts, your favorite parts about these chapters and the Sorcerer's Stone itself. So we have a 3-chapter episode next week and then the final 2 after that. The last thing we'll do before we move on to Chamber of Secrets, we're going to watch Sorcerer's Stone, the movie. I will. It'd be great. It'd be cool if you guys did too, and discuss that for an episode before we move on to the Chamber of Secrets. So that's our game plan. Just want to let you know, keep you informed. I really appreciate you being here, and let's just get into this episode. Wands down, hearts full. Chapter 10, Halloween. We started seeing the trio of Harry, Hermione, and Ron with Halloween, and it really sets the tone for life at Hogwarts, especially for Harry. It's charming, and we get to see the trio becoming real friends, not just classmates. This is the moment where she stops being just a brainy classmate and becomes part of the trio. Ron says something really cruel to her after Wingardium Leviosa, the iconic part. And no wonder she doesn't have any friends. Ron sputters out of his mouth, and it hits her hard. She's walking right behind them, so she heard the whole thing. For the first time, we really see Hermione's vulnerability, and it's not just she's a know-it-all, but she's a kid who desperately wants to belong. And it takes a 12-foot mountain troll to fix it. Professor Quirrell coming in and troll in the dungeon, thought you ought to know. I just love it. But that mountain troll, it really is Harry and Ron stepping up to help Hermione. And it might have been Ron's fault in a way, but he didn't expect this. And they risked their own safety. They could have died. They could have been completely dead doing this. But instead, they don't care. That's just the bravery that these 2 guys have. And it's a little bit of a foreshadowing to all the heroics to come in the following books and the whole series. They're walking the grounds together, warming their hands with Hermione's little portable fire, which I love. It's cozy, it's magic, and it feels earned. This whole section is about building friendship forged through chaos. And from that moment on, direct quote from the book, Hermione was their friend. And this is one of my favorite little lessons from Rowling. Sometimes it takes something absurdly huge and scary to break through those walls and remind us we're stronger together. I would love having someone like Hermione on my side at Hogwarts. Not for her to do my homework or anything, even though that's kind of what Harry says him and Ron do. But just the creativity and the pure brain there. She's a magical genius, and she's just new to this world. So much potential with Hermione, and it'll be good to see her character grow along these other 2 main characters, Harry and Ron. Harry's got his Nimbus 2000 now, thanks to McGonagall's very obvious favoritism. But hey, she sees potential, and she's House Gryffindor all the way. Harry's also getting bolder, giving Malfoy a little "thanks for helping me there" jab, which shows he's kind of done letting bullies like Dudley define his worth. And that's growth for the character. And, of course, we're introduced to Quidditch in this chapter. I've made peace with the logic of it. kind of. I like to think it. I like to think if a team's ahead, okay, by more than 150 points, because the games are known to go long. We learned this. The losing team's seeker has to play defense until they can catch up. So let's say like one team actually hits 150 points versus the other team 140 points. And this is how I imagine this really could work. So there's the seeker who will end the game whenever he grabs it. It just ends. The seeker grabs it. So in my opinion, longer, maybe more competitive games, maybe in like the big wizarding world, Quidditch. I'd like to believe that this is the case. The seeker must play defense once the opposing team passes 150, because the other seeker is clear to go and get the win at that point. I like that logic, so that's my Quidditch logic for you. I always kind of wondered if the golden snitch was going to be captured and end the game. What's the point of everything else? Well, long games. People don't just go for 10-minute games. This game might have been shorter because of Harry being so dang good at Seeker. And plus, the hex, the match. Let's get to the match, because we learned about Quidditch through Oliver Wood in this episode, and he's very nice, and it's kind of cool. I think I love about the series in general is how in detail we go into each aspect of this world, especially in this book. It's a lot of world building in a beautiful way, and fills me with joy reading these books. Moving into the first match, there's this sweet detail with Hermione enchanting a banner for Harry that changes colors. It's like RGB, but magical, and I love colors like that. It's just so small, but it shows really how far this friendship has come already. Also, sitting and thinking about it for a minute, it has occurred to me that my method of Quidditch working out, like 160, 140, it makes no sense at all. Like, if the losing team gets the snitch, they still win, like, because they'll have caught up by that many points. I don't know. We could figure that out another day. Harry is very nervous despite his friends cheering him on and having a whole section. I'd be nervous too if I were him. And then Snape, being peak Snape, he steals his Quidditch through the ages and docks points from Gryffindor before this match. Isn't that petty? Absolutely. Foreshadowing? You bet. Why? Why does Snape hate Harry so much? We see Harry's natural talent shine, even with a hexed freaking broom, which everyone blames on Snape because who wouldn't? He manages to catch the snitch in his mouth. Iconic, disgusting, and very on brand for this series. I love that part. Then, after the match, there's Hagrid, our sweet, slightly naive friend. He insists Snape would never sabotage a student because he's a teacher at Hogwarts. Bless Hagrid and his big heart. Also, Fluffy, we get the name of the dog. Hagrid accidentally lets that slip. He lets that slip, and then he also brings up Nicholas Flamel. So I don't mean to bring up the movie so much, but when there's an iconic line that rings into my head, I should not have said that. That is exactly what Hagrid says to this in that moment of the movie, and we will be watching it. But Hagrid's such an endearing character, and I'm sorry, like, when I think of Hagrid, I really do think of movie Hagrid. I can kind of like replace the actors for like, just like book versions in my mind, but I'm really seeing Robbie Coltrane's Hagrid, and rest in peace. I believe he died a few years ago, and wow, what a performance on his part in those movies and bringing such an iconic character to life. I will be talking about the movies from time to time. I grew up on them. Most of my baseline knowledge comes from them. I realized there was some foreshadowing from the final book, but I only saw the movie. So the movies have to represent the books pretty well on most of the ends. It's just the last few movies. I'm not even saying they're bad. I just know the books are too big for them to put everything in those movies. Maybe that's why they did 2 Deathly Hallows movies. However, I love this series. I don't want to seem ignorant by the fact I haven't read the last 3, because I'm not. I just want to do this show in this way to honor the story. And honestly, the payoff of getting to those later books, it's just going to be amazing. It's going to be priceless. So the info dump is real. Fluffy, Hagrid brings him in. And for the first time, we hear the name Nicholas Flamel. Okay, and I got a side note here real quick. I have to tell you this, even though it's kind of embarrassing. My whole life, watching Harry Potter countless times, I thought the Gamekeeper title for Hagrid meant that he was like Hogwarts head of like wizarding board games or something. And he's like out there organizing enchanted Uno tournaments behind the hut. I'm only just realizing, I don't know why it just clicked now, but game hunting. Game means animals. Hagrid is crazy about these creatures. How did I not see that? Like the Forbidden Forest, not Monopoly. I feel both humbled and slightly betrayed. And I just honestly think that is hilarious and as wrong as I could have even been. There's also this great little moment of mystery building with Snape and his leg. Harry catches Snape tending to a bloody injury, and we find out that it's most likely connected to Fluffy, the three-headed dog. At this point in the story, it really, really feels like Snape is being set up as the clear villain. He's sneaking around, stealing Harry's books, and showing up injured after messing with something he shouldn't. It's all pointing toward him, especially at the Quidditch match, when it clearly looks like he is hexing Harry to fall off his broom and get killed. It is not looking good for Snape, and the trio, Harry, Ron, and Hermione, notice this. It's all pointing toward him, or at least it's how Rowling wants us to feel right now. And honestly, even knowing how this plays out, it's still fun watching these little puzzle pieces fall into place. Snape's leg, Fluffy, a forbidden corridor, it's all dripping with mystery. While Quidditch was such a fun introduction to the game itself, we have Chapter 12 being the Mirror of Erised. And let's just admit that this is the heart of the episode. This episode. And honestly, it's one of the most heartfelt parts of the book. A white Christmas at Hogwarts, magical decorations, Flitwick floating ornaments onto trees. McGonagall may be drinking a little too much wizard wine. She gets a smooch from Hagrid on the cheek. That's something, and she was flattered. It's all cozy, all very heartwarming. And beneath all that warmth, there's something deeply human happening to Harry. He receives the invisibility cloak, a gift from someone mysterious. And we'll just say, maybe keep an eye on Hogwarts itself for how rooms appear and disappear when needed. A little pinch of foreshadowing. Something that I love about this chapter is it's not just where he gets the invisibility cloak. He gets other little Christmas gifts from friends he didn't even know were going to get them for him. And the Dursleys sending him 50 cents pretty much. Oh my God. How evil can you be as people? Don't you miss this kid? Like, you pretty much raised him despite how badly you treated him his whole life for 11 years. And you're going to just treat him like that? Honestly, very in character for the Dursleys, but it's just a little extra in the book just to nudge Harry and remind him we don't care for you. We don't care for you, to the fact that we'll go through the trouble to mail this cheap gift to a secret wizarding school where you're staying. But I just love that Hermione gives him a bunch of chocolate frogs, and she even gives Ron, she's not there, she's back with her family, she gives Ron some every flavored beans. And another thing, Harry gets a flute from Hagrid, and he gets this sweater. He's like a part of the Weasleys. Like, it's just the first time in Harry's life where he's even like had a Christmas where he was slightly cared about. So all those things, even leading up to this invisibility cloak, which is the belle of the ball, let's be honest, it's just heartwarming to see Harry loved like he deserves to be. So with the cloak, Harry sets out immediately that night to explore. And where does he end up? In front of the Mirror of Erised, after being chased around by Filch and Mrs. Norris, and Snape even. This scene is what makes the magic feel real. Harry sees his family, his parents, his own reflection surrounded by the love he's never known. And it's heartbreaking because it's also necessary. He needed this, a glimpse of where he came from. Not the Dursleys, his real parents. A moment of connection to the people who made him who he is. And I love that he can't stop visiting. It's so human. He's drawn to it because it's offering him something no one else can. And he pretty much says in so many words, I will stay here forever just to sort of be in the presence of my lost family. Ron, on the other hand, sees himself with glory. He's head boy. He's the Quidditch captain. He doesn't see what Harry sees. And it's just, honestly, like, he wants to be recognized on his own, not living in the shadow of any of his many brothers. And to see Ron seeing himself with that glory. I think it really makes me want to see him succeed. And I love Ron. I love the main characters. I mean, that's the emotional core of all these books. It's such a beautiful contrast between Harry's longing for his family and that Ron is longing for recognition. But both are quietly heartbreaking in their own ways. Dumbledore finally steps in on night 3, and I think this is their first real heartfelt conversation, if any, up until now. Dumbledore has been distant, not out of neglect, but I believe to protect Harry from favoritism. If Draco Malfoy sees Harry and Dumbledore talking all the time, that's just going to honestly cause Harry a lot of trouble at school, like teacher's pet vibes, I'm guessing. But here, in front of the Mirror of Erised, where Harry can't stop coming, and for some reason I can't help but think Dumbledore expected him to find it, maybe even led him to find it. I don't know the answer to this, by the way. That's just the theory. Dumbledore to Harry here is gentle, honest, and wise. He doesn't scold Harry for wandering with the invisibility cloak. He simply guides him. In so many words, he says it's not good to dwell on dreams and forget to live. Because some people spend ages just looking at that mirror and their greatest desires. It drives people crazy, he says. So it's the start of a relationship that will define so much of Harry's journey with Dumbledore. And though Harry doesn't realize it yet, Dumbledore expected him to find the mirror. The castle seems to move in ways that nudge him toward what he needs most. Now, in closing, these 3 chapters reminded me why this journey feels so very special. It's not just magic and mayhem, it's heart and it's friendship. It's small kindnesses like a Weasley sweater or an enriched banner. RGB lights in the wizarding world. Are you kidding me? J.K. Rowling's got that kind of vision. And it's those quiet moments, staring into the mirror, longing for something lost. That reminds us why we keep reading. Thank you for being here. Thank you for letting me share this with you. And if you'd like to support the show, we have a tip jar in our About section. That's the only way you can right now. Maybe we'll do Patreon later. Send your thoughts to magicmugglepod@gmail.com, and I will try and read all responses. And we can tell me your favorite parts about Sorcerer's Stone. If you can, keep it to Sorcerer's Stone, because I'm not going to include spoilers, just in case we have first-time listeners listening along. I'd like to create that. And I think we could still do it, having a lot of fun, knowing what's sort of coming and hinting at foreshadowing. It's going to be great. So, once again, I keep wanting to say patreon.com/Marvel Maniac. I host another podcast called Marvel Maniac. We're slowly approaching our 200th episode. It is also another passion of mine, so go check that out if you're a fan of Marvel Maniac, and MCU After Show. But I wanted to keep telling you to go to the Harry Potter Patreon. We don't have one. We have the tip jar, and that's it right now. And it's never expected, always appreciated. I love covering Harry Potter, and this might have been the most fun read of this book, even not finished yet, that I've ever had. Seeing it through adult eyes and getting to break it down by slowing it down instead of, I want to read all of Harry Potter in one day, like when I was a kid. I love doing that. It's just so much better to read between the lines, and it gives the story so much meaning. J.K. Rowling is not a dum-dum. She is really good at doing foreshadowing. She's really fantastic at letting you feel like you're living with these characters, and that just brings warmth, and that is why these are considered probably the greatest young adult books of our time. Once again, thank you from all of my heart to yours for being here and listening along. We will be back next week with the next 3 chapters. We are going into the Forbidden Forest, so get ready for that adventure. And until then, wands down, hearts full.